Yo, what's up, everybody? It's HBT, man, on a Sunday afternoon, heading over to a friend's house. But, man, pretty much, I want to talk a little bit about wrestling in general, guys. Let's talk about wrestling. We all know what's happening with the WWE and the WWE getting involved with ESPN. We all see that went down, and we're wondering, what does the future hold as far as wrestling goes? What does the future hold, guys? It's hard to really say, and to tell you the truth, most of us wrestling fans, all we can see right now is bad. That's what we're thinking. That all this stuff is going to turn out bad. It's not going to be good for the business. I'm pretty sure there's fans out here who's thinking, hey, it's going to be a good thing. That's the way they're looking at it, guys, that it's going to be a good thing. But you know what? I really don't know. To tell you the truth, I don't see it. I don't see it having a positive result. This merger, or not, it's not a merger, but them going on ESPN and having it on all these different platforms here in the U.S. I know over in Europe is only on one platform, I think Netflix. But as far as the WWE is all over these networks here in the States. So guys, I really don't know. I really don't know how to pretty much put my finger on this and about what they're doing. But one thing I can say is they don't know much about what they're doing. Or they really don't care. They really don't care. You have to look at somebody like Triple H, or Paul Levesque, if you want to call him Paul Levesque, which he's going by his real name, and look at this guy and say, are you just in this thing for the money? Or just putting yourself out there and just basically get everything that you can off of wrestling, because you see it going sideways. You don't know if we're at the end or whatever. You're just taking what you can take off of it, and maybe it can propel you to do something else a little bit later in life. Maybe you're looking at this as a stepping stone to something a little bit different. I don't know. But man, let's get into a couple of releases that I just saw. I saw that Austin Theory is completely taken off the WWE roster. He's gone now. And you have and I think Karrion Kross. Well, Karrion Kross is off the active roster. I think he's on he's on some kind of other roster or whatever. Him and Scarlett haven't been released, but he's not going to be a wrestler for right now. So I don't know what in the world that's about. I can't think of what roster he's on now, but I know he's doing a little something different too. They're going to have him doing something a little bit different, as far as Karrion goes. So he's not going to be an active wrestler. And I was listening to some podcasters this morning, and there's some podcasters out here say, he's really not a star. And anytime he wrestles, and I've seen this too, they basically talking about how the crowd is just basically silent, and I've seen that too. Anytime that Karrion Kross get into that ring, man, the crowd is silent. So I can definitely get with a lot of people on that. Man, but yeah, I don't know exactly what they're gonna do as far as anything in this future, how to take this thing to the next level, guys. Because anytime that you're running a business, in this wrestling business or anything out here, you're running a business, it should get better. Year after year, it should get better. I mean, you are looking for everything that you are involved in, or that you put your time into. And I'm talking about the WWE, and I'm talking about the wrestlers, I'm talking about the fans, everything. You're hoping that thing that you're involved in, especially in sport, that it progresses and it goes to the next level, guys, that it gets better. That's what you're looking for, not for the thing to get worse. So, wow, I just don't know how this thing gonna come out. I don't know how it's gonna look on ESPN. I'm pretty sure ESPN is gonna roll out something special. They might try to beat Netflix on how Netflix rolled it out. I don't know. But man, like I said, everybody thinks it's gonna be horrible in the long term. But yeah, let me get back to that Austin Theory, man. Austin Theory got released. Karrion Kross. Look, Karrion Kross. Let's talk about Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross at NXT was a star. He was an NXT star. But they put him on the main roster and pretty much dogged him out from the jump. From the jump, he pretty much got lowered down, and he lost his first match to Jeff Hardy on the main roster. Then the second match, I think he wrestled Keith Lee. I'm not sure if I think he beat Keith Lee, but just barely. And then after that, I think he won another match, or maybe lost. Well, I think he won and then he lost. And he disappeared. And he was out of the WWE. Come back, and he brought him back with, what is those guys? The OPP, or whatever the name they are. Whatever the name that group is. They brought them back with Paul Ellering and those two guys. And they had a decent faction, guys. I didn't think they was any good. In my opinion, I did not like it. Yeah, I know my partner, Christopher Burton, to my man, it could be like another Road. That's like another Road Warriors. No. But Karrion Kross had potential, guys. He had potential, especially with Paul Ellering at the helm. Of course, he got his wife with him too. But they definitely could have did something with that group. They could have done something with Karrion Kross. I didn't care for the group either. To tell you the truth, all they did was having them beat up the Street Profits or whatever. But let's see. But yeah, let me go ahead and finish that thought. But yeah, they definitely could have done something with Karrion Kross, and in turn do something with the group that Karrion was pretty much leading. But make Paul Ellering this great manager, just like he was with the Legion of Doom. And when I'm talking about the Legion of Doom, guys, I'm talking about the whole Legion of Doom. I know a lot of people just thinking it's two guys, especially you WWE fans that just basically followed the WWE, or you WWE fans back in the day didn't know much about the NWA, which the Legion of Doom, the Road Warriors, Hawk and Animal, they was the Road Warriors, part of the Legion of Doom. Part of the Legion of Doom. They was the Road Warriors, and you had the Spoiler, part of the Legion of Doom. You had, let's see, who else was in that group? You had the Spoiler, you had, I think, I know King Kong Bundy was part of the group, and you had, I think, Jake the Snake Roberts was part of that group. Let's see, there was somebody else. Then Jake the Snake, of course, he ended up going to the WWE. He left the Georgia Championship region and went to the WWE. I think Matt Bourne was part of the group, but it was a faction, guys. That's what the Legion of Doom was. It was a faction, and that faction got tore apart. But I could be wrong, man, as far as the members. I usually know them, but right now that I'm in the car, for some reason, I'm getting a little thrown off, I think, a little bit. But either way it go, it was a faction, and the Road Warriors was part of that faction, guys. Straight up. But man, yeah, they definitely could have did something with that group. But it seems that the WWE, they do not know what to do with a faction anymore. Because let's look at the faction let's look at Paul Heyman's faction. The one with Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker, and Bronson Reed. What are they called? Now, are they doing work? Yeah, they're doing some work, but they don't have an official name yet. Unless they did something Friday night, which I did not watch. So they, as far as I know, they don't have an official name. But, I mean, hey, is it on them or is it on the company? And the same thing, I say the same thing about Karrion Kross. Was it up to them to make him a star, or was it up to Karrion Kross to do it himself? Now, I'm going to tell you right now, it's hard for any wrestler to actually do it himself. Because when it boils down to it, the boss is going to always intervene and change something and pretty much mess up your gimmick. If you come out with something that's going to work and it look like it's working and the fans are behind it or whatever, there's always somebody, especially a booker or somebody like that, a promoter, always sticking their nose in it and screws it up. Straight up. So was it all up to Karrion Kross, guys, to to make all this stuff work. I really can't put all this stuff on Karrion, guys. I can't put all of it on Karrion. And Austin Theory is definitely a great worker. So talented, guys. So talented. But now we see Austin Theory is gone. Man, and hey, I know him and Grayson Waller may have had trouble and wasn't the most popular people in the world, but did they get a fair chance? Did they really get a fair chance to be as good as they possibly could have been? Did the WWE maximize their potential to the fullest? I don't know if we can actually say that. Straight up. I don't know if we can actually say they maximize those guys to the fullest. And Grayson is still there. He's still there. I don't know how long he will be, but he's still there. But hey, as far as Killer Kross and Austin Theory, both of them very talented guys, and they deserved a little bit more. They deserved to probably still be on the roster and try to pretty much get themselves over with the help of the promotion. Straight up. But man, look, I just don't know where wrestling's gonna go. It seems to me that everybody that used to know how to run wrestling, they're either dead and gone, or these guys in their 80s, guys, in their late 70s or 80s, the guys that actually knew how to run it or pretty much knew how to book it, they're all gone, guys. They're all gone. All I really got to say is this. Man, shout out to Jim Crockett. Now, Jim Crockett Promotions, that's the promotion that was in my area. Shout out to Jim Crockett. Shout out to Ole Anderson from Georgia Championship Wrestling when he was out there running that. And who else? There's other people that ran it up there. But yeah, shout out to Ole Anderson. Shout out to Jack and Jerry Briscoe. They was part of that promotion. Man, shout out to Bob Geigel out in the Central States or whatever. Shout out to Paul Bosch. Man, shout out to Paul Jones. Shout out to Bill Watts. Shout out to what in the heck is his name? Let's see. Out in Tennessee. It was, one of them, I'll say Bill Dundee. Shout out to Bill Dundee and Jerry the King Lawler. Shout out to, goodness sake, I can't even think of his name. Son still, Jerry. Shout out to Jerry. Those guys, guys that knew how to run this business, that actually sold wrestling, guys. They actually sold the sport of wrestling. Now, of course, wrestling always had entertainment. It always was about entertainment. But those guys sold wrestling. They did not sell they wasn't selling a circus, guys. They wasn't selling the fair. And to a certain point, you gotta say everything's being laid out today, and wrestling is kind of like the circus, kind of like the fair. Especially when we know what we're gonna get week in and week out. Attacks. It's become a circus, guys. And I hate to say that. I know I saw Eric Embry earlier in the week. Or is it Eric Embry? I can't remember his last name. I think it's Emery, but I used to watch him back in the day. Legendary wrestler from back in the day. And he said, look, and he was pretty much on point. He said what they're selling today is not wrestling. He said they're selling a circus. And it's kind of hard to disagree with him. They're not selling wrestling, guys. I mean, point blank, they are not selling wrestling. And now we are bombarded with nothing but commercials, guys. Commercials and advertisement. That's what wrestling is bombarded with. I feel bad for the wrestlers. I really do. I feel bad for wrestlers all the way from the WWE down to AEW, down to MLW, down to the NWA, TNA, all the way down to the indies. Because you know what? As the WWE goes, so does these wrestlers, and it don't matter where they at in the country. Or maybe even across the country. Because the WWE pretty much runs this thing. They run this thing. They run wrestling, guys. Straight up. And everybody want to follow what they're doing. To see if the magic can be laid upon them. But I don't know. I don't know. But hey, before you leave this podcast, guys, hit that like, share, join. And if you on Facebook, hit that like, share, join. You're on YouTube, like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, ding, 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 so you know we're on like times like these. And if you're on Twitch, you do the same thing that you do on YouTube. And if you're on X, hit that like, share, tweet, and retweet, and follow the Straight Up Wrestling Show, guys. I appreciate each and every one of you coming in here, giving this your attention. And I'll talk to you guys a little bit later. Stay straight up. This is HBT. Peace.